Welcome to Microdose U. Today in this episode, we're going to be talking about the 2025 to 2026 absolute beginner's guide to microdosing magic mushrooms, microdosing psilocybin. My name is Dr. David Maddow. I've been doing this podcast for about 4+ years now. And every year about this time, we do an episode that's called the Absolute Beginner's Guide. And I think this is the fourth one or so. And I will tell you this, they get better every single year simply because we know so much more now than we did 4 years ago. The episode today is going to be a little bit longer than my normal episode, but it's going to be worth it. And I want you to stick with it the whole way through because there's going to be stuff even at the very end that's super, super, super important if you want to learn about microdosing psilocybin, microdosing magic mushrooms. So let's get right into this. Well, the first question I'll ask is, what is microdosing? Well, you may know microdosing is just what the word says. It's taking a micro dose of psilocybin, magic mushrooms. So you're not really feeling any psychedelic effects. You're not going on a psychedelic trip. You're not seeing patterns. You're not doing any of that. But it's a small dose that's going to change your neural pathways for the better and improve your life in so many ways. So I'm going to get into all that. How can it improve your life? But for now, let's say a microdose is generally speaking, generally about a 10% of what you would normally, or what somebody would normally take for a larger psychedelic type dose. So when you microdose, you can totally get on with your life. You're absolutely totally functional. You're not high. You don't feel drunk. You're not tripping. You can drive. You can watch your kids. You can go to work. You can do athletics. You can go to the gym. You can do anything that you normally do on a regular daily basis because, again, it's a microdose. It's a very, very tiny dose. So let's talk about who should microdose. What are the reasons that somebody would want to microdose? Well, the primary reason, and the reason that most people watch me and subscribe to my channel here and follow me is because most people that microdose are doing it for mental health reasons, namely anxiety and depression. Now, those are the two most common reasons that people microdose. However, there are many more reasons that people could microdose, and I'll just list a few of them here. And we're going to get into all these, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. But another reason people microdose is simply for creativity. Some people want to be more creative, somebody more creative in their work, in their business, or whatever. They're writers, they're artists, they're musicians, they're learning a language, they're doing something, and they want to be more creative and improve that cognition. And microdose can absolutely help with that, 100%. Sports, fitness, athletics. I oftentimes would microdose if I went up to the ski mountain and skied, or get on my bike and ride, or go to the gym even. It really just gives you that feeling of confidence that you are better and you can do better. And it's not a false feeling of confidence. It's not something that's not true. It really does improve things with you, which again, we will get into this. Spiritual connection. Some people just want to be more spiritual, more connected to the universe, more connected to the planet, whatever. Absolutely, it can help with that really, really big time. And also, and there are many more reasons, but I'll give you one more right now, physical health. And you might be saying, well, why would microdosing a psychedelic help me with my physical health? And my answer would be, it's really hard to explain this unless you've actually been microdosing for a while. But being a 4+ year experienced microdoser, I can tell you that it's taught me things about my body, about my physical body also, not only my mental health, but my physical body that I just never knew before. And I'll share this with you. Everything is connected. Everything. There's nothing in our lives, in our body, in our health that's not connected. So it should make sense that while you're microdosing for maybe another reason, such as mental health or spirituality, it's going to teach you. And these magic mushrooms are teachers. They're going to teach you how to be much healthier in all aspects, not just mental health. The next question we're going to get into, and it's a very commonly asked question, is microdosing safe? And is it legal? And we're talking again, we're generally talking about magic mushrooms, psilocybin. And yes, the answer to the first one is absolutely safe. I had somebody ask me the other day, well, they were interested in microdosing. However, they felt that they didn't want to be dependent on something and they didn't want to be worried about overdosing. Well, guess what? With psilocybin, that's not going to happen. You can't overdose. It's not the type of a medicine or a drug that's going to cause really serious problems if you take too much. Yeah, if you take too much, if you ingest too much, you're going to go on probably a very wild psychedelic trip. But at the end of the trip, you'll come back and you will be fine because it's not the type of thing like heroin, cocaine, meth, any of the opioid. It's nothing like that whatsoever. This is a very natural plant medicine that you don't, it doesn't have overdose potential whatsoever. And also it's not habit forming. It's not addictive. So I would actually argue that it's much safer than so many other substances that we are consuming on a regular basis. I mean, I don't even have to tell you about alcohol and tobacco. But even past, because I don't use either of those really, but even past that, it's much safer than so many pharmaceuticals that we use all the time. So I'm going to go out on a limb, and again, I'm going to share with you this. Nothing that I share with you today is medical advice, but I'm going to go out on a limb and share this with you that it is very, very, very safe. The next question though, is it legal? Well, that depends where you are, and you have to check the laws in your jurisdiction, in your country, in your state, wherever you might be, because I cannot police the whole world and I can't tell you whether it's legal in your area. I will tell you this. I recommend that you do it only if it's in an area where it's safe, legal, or decriminalized. I'll leave the rest to you. Again, I can't police people where they are. I just have to tell you that it's not legal everywhere. Some places it is, many places it's not. But you need to do your own research on that. And then you have to decide whether, see, I had to make a decision at some point quite some time ago that my mental health was quite a bit more important than maybe doing something that was against the law. Because had I not started this, have I not started down this journey, have I not used magic mushrooms for my mental health, I don't really know where I'd be right now. So they totally, totally turned my life around. So yes, I had to take a little bit of a chance, but these days I tell people that you really need to do this in an area where it is safe and legal and or decriminalized. Okay, the next section we're going to be talking about is how to microdose. And then the first thing that's going to come up, of course, is, well, where do you get this medicine? And notice I'm calling it medicine. I'm not calling it drugs. I'm not calling it things that you go take at parties and get high and get and trip and get stoned. And no, this is actually a very sacred medicine that's been used for hundreds and thousands of years by native indigenous people who knew that this plant had some very, very serious benefits. But outside of growing it on your own, and I don't teach that, I'm not experienced in growing, I've never grown anything, I don't feel the need to. Outside of that, you're going to have to find a way to get this medicine. And one thing I'm going to tell you, I should tell you a few things about it. Number one, we don't talk about sourcing on my podcast here. I don't talk about it on Facebook. I don't talk about it in any public forum. The only place that we potentially discuss this is on my Patreon platform, my Patreon page. It is a paid platform. It's very inexpensive, but I don't want to do it anywhere in total public because I think I want it to be with people that are like-minded and they're invested in this and they're very serious about it. And that's where we may discuss that aspect of it. That's going to have to be something, but I will tell you this, please, there are so many scammers out there. There's so many people that will get you on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, or any of these platforms, and if you don't know who this person is, if they're not vetted, if you don't know somebody or you haven't used them personally, I'm going to tell you there is a 99% chance you're going to get ripped off. There's going to be a problem. They're either going to steal your money, or you're going to get something that's fake, you're going to get something that's laced with something. Please, please only use medicine that you are 100% sure that it's safe, that it's effective, and that nobody's messing with anything and nobody's going to rip you off. And again, we do discuss this on Patreon, and I'm going to leave the link in the show notes here. And it's also on my website, microdoseu.com. It's microdose with the letter U on the end of it, microdoseu.com. The only place we are able to discuss this is on Patreon, and you have to be a premium member on Patreon. I want to make sure that we have a group of people that are, again, invested in this and serious and safe. So that's why we only do this on Patreon. You're more than welcome to join us. But again, we don't talk about this anywhere else. So please don't ask me. Again, the only thing I'm going to say is don't try to purchase this medicine from somebody that you don't know or are not 100% familiar with, no matter what they say to you. But when you are able to secure your medicine, it's going to come in several forms, possibly. You've got the choice of having it in. Now, I always recommend dried, ground up magic mushrooms, dried up psilocybin mushrooms. And the reason is if you just find yourself holding a magic mushroom in your hand and you take a big bite, there's several problems with that, or several potential problems. Number one, you don't know how much you're getting. If you take a bite, do you know exactly how much you're biting? Do you know exactly how much psilocybin you're getting? No. So you might be getting way too little, or you might be getting way too much. You can't control that. Another reason I don't want you to do that is because the psilocybin is not distributed evenly throughout the mushroom. So you might be holding a little mushroom in your hand that's, remember, it's always got to be dried. But you might be holding a mushroom in your hand, take a bite off of it, and you might bite into an area that has a high concentration of psilocybin. And before you know it, you're on a large, long psychedelic trip. I don't think you want that if you're thinking about microdosing. The other possibility is you take a bite and you get no psilocybin because it's concentrated somewhere else in the mushroom. So you've got to always use ground up. Once you grind it, it's evenly distributed, ground up, dried magic mushroom. But again, I've never had to do this myself. You don't have to do it because there are places where you can get this, again, legally, that do it all for you. And when I say legally, there are areas in the country and in the world that it is legal. So make sure you do it legally. But once you get your medicine, I'm going to recommend that you start at, okay, so a microdose is anywhere from 50 milligrams to 300 milligrams of dried, ground up magic mushrooms. Now, that's very different than 50 milligrams of psilocybin, because psilocybin by weight is generally about 1%, contain 1% of the weight of a magic mushroom. So example, let's say a magic mushroom weighs 1 gram. 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams. So you are really getting 10 milligrams of actual psilocybin. So it's very confusing. So we always use the weight of the dried up ground magic mushroom and not the weight of the psilocybin. So if you hear 50 milligrams to 300 milligrams, we're talking about the weight of the actual mushroom and not the extracted psilocybin from that. Very, very, very important. And another thing that's very important is you really should learn how to convert milligrams to grams, because some people are going to be speaking in grams depending on the weight. Some people will be speaking milligrams. So 50 milligrams of magic mushrooms is actually 0.05 grams. 1 gram of magic mushrooms is how many milligrams? Do you know how many milligrams 1 gram is? I'll give you a second. Can you calculate that? All you have to do is move the decimal point 3 places. So 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams. A half a gram, 500 milligrams, that's 0.5 grams. So again, you should try to work this out yourself and figure it out, because it's very important. And if you make a mistake, you could take way too much or way too little. So make sure you know grams and milligrams. But again, the magic mushroom microdose ranges from about 50 milligrams, which is 0.05 grams, upwards of about 300 milligrams. And that's a high microdose, 0.3 grams. Now, when I first started this about 4 years ago, I used to recommend people start off really, really low, like 50 milligrams to maybe 100 milligrams. These days, I'm actually recommending starting anywhere from 100 to 200 milligrams. If you're going to do this, let's get started and do it right. If you take too low of a dose, there's a good chance it's not going to do anything. And the worst case scenario is if you start off with 100 to 200 milligrams and you feel it's too much, and we're going to talk about what it's going to feel like. But if you feel it's too much, then you back off a little bit. I'd rather see you go that direction than start off with something that's so super low, nothing's going to really happen. Okay, so we're starting off with let's use the number 150 milligrams. It's right in the middle of 100 and 200 milligrams. So we'll say 150 milligrams. And the good thing about this also is it's not an exact science. So if your doctor prescribes a medication for you, let's just say Lexapro or some type of antidepressant or something, and they say, hey, you've got to take 20 milligrams once a day, then you better believe you got to take 20 milligrams, and it's got to be exact. And that's why the pharmaceutical companies measure it out exactly into those tablets. It's exactly 20 milligrams. You don't want to deviate. But with magic mushrooms, if you take a little bit too little or a little bit too much, it's okay. It's totally fine. And you can, as you get more used to it, you can decide, well, one day I just feel like I need this more than usual. I'm going to take a little bit more, and that's totally fine. Once you're experienced, you get a feel for what it's going to feel like. But you don't just take this one time and then say, okay, that's it. There are protocols to follow, and there are many different protocols out there. Some of them I agree with, some of them I don't agree with, but I'm going to give you my recommended beginning protocol. So let's say start with 150 milligrams, give or take 150 milligrams, and use that for 3 days in a row. Take it 3 days in a row. Generally in the morning is best, but you can really do it any time of the day. There's no right and there's no wrong. But my pattern has always been morning just because I think it works out the best. But again, there's no right or wrong. And some people like to take it later in the day or before bedtime because they say it helps them sleep better. So who am I to say that's wrong? There's no right and there's no wrong with this. But I recommend doing it for about 3, 4, or 5 days on. Again, the reason I'm saying 3, 4, or 5 is your choice. It's not definite and it's not etched in stone. But let's just say 4. I recommend dosing for 4 days in a row and then taking 1 to 2 days off. And then dosing another 4 days in a row. But it could be 3, it could be 5. But you get the idea. The idea is to do it for a few days in a row, take a day or 2 off, and then repeat it again and keep going that way. That is, I think, the best protocol for microdosing magic mushrooms. A few days on, 1 or 2 days off, a few more days on, and repeat. Now, getting back to the medicine and which forms this takes, the most common, especially for beginners, the very common form is just capsules. They come pre-measured, pre-weighed in capsules, 150 milligrams. If that's what you choose. You just take a capsule with water in the morning. You can do it on an empty stomach if you want. You could do it with food. It doesn't really matter. I prefer to do mine before breakfast, but you can do it really anytime. Some people say it makes them the stomach a little bit queasy. I've never really had that problem, but if you do, you can certainly take it with food or after food, and it's not a problem at all. The forms that comes in, again, capsules, that's very common. Also, they come in tea bags. You can make actually tea. You can steep it in hot water and actually consume it as tea. That's a very good way to do it. And again, fairly common. People say that's a little more soothing to the stomach, to the digestive system. Also, one of my favorites is chocolate. Yep, baked in chocolate bars, sectioned off so you know exactly how much you're taking. These days with me, and again, I'm not saying you should go by this, but it's gotten to the point where I can just take a bite of a chocolate bar. I know exactly how it's dosed, and I know exactly, I pretty much know what it's going to feel like, and I go with that. I love the chocolate bars. But again, I would probably recommend starting with capsules. I think they're probably the most predictable because what you see in the capsule is exactly what you get. If you use a tea bag, again, if you don't steep it long enough, you might get a little bit less extracted into the hot water. It's not as exact as a capsule. If you've got a capsule that is 200 milligrams or 150 and you swallow it, that's exactly what you're getting. There's no room for error there whatsoever. Okay, now next, let's talk about what to expect. How is it going to feel? You take your first dose of magic mushroom capsule powder, whatever you do, you take your first dose. It's scary because you don't know what it's going to feel like. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're not going to feel anything bad. If I used to say it's totally subperceptual, meaning you don't feel anything whatsoever, but I've modified that over the years. And yeah, you actually should feel a little something. And what is that little something? How can I describe that little something? Well, that little something is just a feeling that things are just a little bit better. If those are the words I use, it's hard to describe any other way. No, you don't feel high, you don't feel stoned, you don't feel like you're tripping. It's nothing like that. You just feel a little bit better. And that's what you want. And over time, that feeling of a little bit better is going to keep getting better and better and better. And even on your days off, you're going to really start to feel much better, especially if you're using this for depression or anxiety. When I first started, I really didn't know what to expect at all. And some people say, well, it doesn't really happen overnight. You're not going to feel any change overnight or even in the first week or so or first month. I was very fortunate. I started feeling much better from my anxiety and even my depression almost right away. However, it's not always the case, and sometimes it could take quite some time. But if you stick with it, you will start to feel better. There's no question in my mind. So I'd like to look at the benefits as two different types of benefits. The short term, and short term is generally feeling a little bit better from anxiety, feeling better from depression, feeling better from whatever you're trying to treat, feeling better, feeling more spiritual, feeling whatever it might be. But long term, and this is something that I had no idea of when I first started microdosing. Early on in my microdosing journey, I had no idea what these mushrooms were going to teach me. And now I realize why some people call these magic mushrooms teachers, because they teach you over time. They teach you so much about your body, about your mental health, about your physical health, about spirituality, about time, about anything and everything you've always wanted to know. They are teachers. So you will start to learn over time so much more. I absolutely have been learning more about my physical body than I've ever learned in my life. They've just pointed me in the right direction to do certain things about my physical health, about sleep apnea, blood pressure, uh, a digestive system, GI, gut flora, things like that, and so much more. These are teachers, and they've improved my life in so many ways I can't even begin to describe. It's more of a longer term thing. If you're planning on microdosing for a week or two, and again, I don't recommend that, and I'm going to talk to you about that in a second. But you're not going to notice any of these type of benefits. I look at this as more of like a long-term solution to better health, both mental and physical. Now, a very common question that I get asked, if you happen to be on antidepressants, SSRIs, do you need to quit those first before you start microdosing magic mushrooms, or do you continue and do them both at the same time? And my answer is absolutely do not quit your SSRIs or antidepressants. Continue them while you begin your microdosing journey. Also, I want to let you know again, this is not medical advice, and I personally never recommend that somebody discontinue their medication without consulting with your doctor. But the idea behind this is you start the microdosing at the same time you're using the antidepressants, and then over a period of time, and it's a little bit too complex, and I don't have the bandwidth to explain the entire thing in this episode. I've done a lot of episodes on this, on SSRIs, antidepressants, and psychedelics. But the idea is once you reach a certain point and you're sure that the microdosing is working, then you begin to wean off of your antidepressant. And again, I've spoken about this at length, but in this episode, I just won't be able to get into that in detail. But the main thing you need to know is yes, you continue taking your antidepressants as you begin your microdosing. Now, one thing I want to point out to you that's very, very important is these are not like taking an SSRI pill. There's not like taking an antidepressant. It's not like taking a pharmaceutical where you pretty much take it and then go about your life and don't even think anything about it. No, these magic mushrooms are not only teachers, but there's some side work, some other things that are kind of required to go along with this. So you really need to be all in on this. And you really want to say for once and for all, because obviously you're watching me now or listening to me now, because whatever you've been doing up to now hasn't really worked as well as you wanted it to. So at this point, I want you to say, and you can say this to me, Dr. Dave, I am finally all in. I've done enough. I've tried enough. Nothing's really worked to my expectations to this point. So I am all in. I'm going to do whatever it takes to feel better about my life, feel better about my mental health, my physical health, my spirituality, whatever it might be. I'm all in and I'm going to do whatever it takes. So there are some things you need to do on the side, and I'm not going to go into tremendous detail because that could be an entire different episode, a full episode on just these things. But things like journaling. I carry my journal with me wherever I go with a pen, and I'm always writing my thoughts and writing ideas and writing how I feel, and just I journal all day long, every day, and it's super important and very helpful. Other things that might be good that go along with microdosing are meditation. Lately, I've been meditating to 528 hertz sound every single day, and I've noticed some incredible changes just through doing that as well. Yoga. Yoga is really good, really helpful. Sound bath, if you have one in your area, one in your community, I'm pretty sure you do. Just do a search for that. It's a really healing session where you're going in and listening to these different these beautiful sounds, it's really a wonderful spiritual experience that really will make you feel so much better on so many different levels. Also, if you ever done a sensory deprivation float spa, I've done that a lot while microdosing, and that is a tremendous help. I've been able to reach really deeply and figure things out about my life and discover things about my life and about my health just from floating in a sensory deprivation float tank that I couldn't recommend that any more than I am right now. It's wonderful. And also another thing that I do quite a bit even to this day is be in solitude, be by myself, just do a lot of thinking. Just don't worry about socializing all the time and being with people and being at parties and being loud. I like solitude. I like being by myself. I like going out on a hike by myself or on a drive or on a road trip or to a concert, something by myself that really helps quite a bit along with the microdosing for sure. The most important bit of advice I can give you about microdosing is if you choose to go down this path, and I hope you do, and again, this is not medical advice, and I really recommend sharing everything you do with your doctor. I share everything with my doctor. My doctor knows exactly what I do. It's up to you, but that's what I recommend. But my advice would be don't be one of these people that are procrastinators, drifters, multitaskers, and I'll explain exactly what I mean by that. Sometimes I've met so many people even people that I've coached one-on-one, and they're in for a little while until they're not. And then the next thing you know, they drift on to something else because a friend or somebody at work or they saw a podcast or a YouTube video, somebody told them that something else is better. And so these people drift through life always looking for the next fix, looking for overnight success. Well, I'm telling you something, magic mushrooms and microdosing are not an overnight success. So if you're looking for a quick fix, overnight success, this is not for you. If you're looking to really change your life in a way that is more powerful than I can ever describe on this episode, then microdosing, yes, absolutely could be for you. But if you're a drifter, meaning you're always on to the next thing, always looking for the next thing. If you're a procrastinator, you watch this episode, you listen to this episode, but then you say, well, yeah, but I don't know, maybe sometime I might try. Then it's probably not for you. You've got to be all in. If you are a multitasker, I mean, you're trying a million things at once and you're trying to throw a whole bunch of things up at the wall, against the wall and see what sticks. No, this is probably not for you. You have to be focused. You have to say, I'm going to try this. Enough people have done this for many years, and I know it works, but I have to be all in. I have to try this, and I can't deviate. I can't be looking for the next big fix. I've got to be focused and all in on microdosing magic mushrooms because they're going to change my life. And that's you speaking. You've got to believe in this. Again, if you don't, if you're not sure, it's probably not for you and it's probably not going to work for you. So I think I pretty much included everything here that's super important. It's an overview. It's the 2025, 2026 absolute beginner's guide. But where do you go from here? I've given you just enough information to get started. Again, if you're not sure of where to get this medicine, I invite you to join me on my Patreon platform, my Patreon page, where things like that we do discuss that in a little bit deeper. That's the only place we discuss that. I do welcome you there. I'm not really looking for people that are in and out, jumping in just to get some information, then jump out. We're looking for to cultivate a really nice Patreon family, and that's what we've got. And people that we know each other, we're kind of connected. We do these live meetings together. It's like one really cool family. You don't have to be in there, and if you're not the social type person, it's okay. You can be anonymous. You can kind of hold back. But again, I'm not looking for somebody just to come in, grab as much information as they can, and then quit the next day. That's really not what our Patreon page is for. Also, I've got my podcast episode here right at Microdose U, wherever you're watching or listening to this. I put out a brand new episode every Wednesday. It's all free. Nothing, there's no charge to listen or watch the podcast. Every single Wednesday, I've got a tremendous catalog of podcasts, of episodes that I've done that are very, very helpful. They can get you started if you just don't know where to start. Done all of that. And again, if you're the type of person that just wants to be held by the hand, if you need some hand holding, some individualized one-on-one coaching, yes, guess what? We offer that as well. We've got a really good program. It ranges anywhere from an individual coaching session for like an hour upwards of a 10-week program where we share everything with you from start to finish, 10 weeks, and it includes one-on-one coaching by Zoom, by video, by however you want to do it. It includes that as well. So it's a really, really comprehensive program. For those of you that, again, want some hand holding, just not sure where to go from here, pretty much we here at Microdose U, we've got it all for you. But again, listening to the podcast or watching the podcast every week, every Wednesday, absolutely free. I encourage you to do that and go back and look at the back catalog. And let me know if you need anything else from me on a personal level. All the important links are right here in the show notes of every podcast episode I do, along with my website, Microdose U. Again, it's microdose with the letter U on the end of it, .com. It's all here for you. This is what we do. We're here to help people all across the planet feeling better every single day. So if this resonated with you, or you know of anybody that would benefit from this type of material, please like, share, and subscribe, and you'll never miss an episode. And make sure you turn notifications on, because again, I want to help you every single Wednesday when a brand new episode comes out here at Microdose U. I say this on the end of every episode, and if you're brand new to me, it might seem a little bit weird, but I really mean this from my heart when I say this at the end of every episode that I do. I love you. And the reason I say that is because I feel your energy on the other end of this camera, on the other end of this microphone. I'm not speaking into an empty mic. I'm speaking to you personally. I feel you there. I know you're there. I know you're looking for help. I know you want to be better. And this might just be the time of your life where you should say, yes, let's finally get started and get me feeling better every single day. I'm Dr. Dave. I thank you so much for being here with me on this episode, and I'll see you on the next episode.